Hi everybody, it's Chris Byberg, the director of the National House of Prayer, coming to you today from snowy Ottawa. Well, we had a real huge dumping of snow over last weekend, Thursday and then Saturday and Sunday, close to 80 centimeters, I would say, maybe more. Some are forecasting. So it was a lot of snow. And, I became very appreciative of my neighbor Kevin this weekend. I always had a good relationship with him, but I really appreciated him this weekend because he has a snowblower and I don't. And he was so gracious to clear out the foot of my driveway with the great big plowed in plow. When the plow comes, it just plows us right in. We're on a corner, so we seem to get more than our fair share of snow in our driveway. And my wonderful neighbor cleared out my driveway for me, and I didn't even have to ask him. How good is that? Don't you appreciate it when you have a good neighbor? I really love good neighbors. I've had good neighbors a lot of times in my life, and on one occasion I had one that wasn't so good. So I am very appreciative of good neighbors. And Jesus said this, in Luke chapter 10, he's actually, there was this young man that knew the law, an expert in the law, asked him, how do you inherit eternal life? And Jesus asked him a series of questions. And the young man said, Jesus asked him, so what do you think it is? And he says, well, you should love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And Jesus said, that's correct. The first and the second are the most important. That's the important things to God, that we love our neighbors. First love him with everything, and then love our neighbors as ourselves. And, I can get into reading this, but also it goes on and the young man asks, so who's my neighbor? And I've heard things about neighbors. I had a debate with a young reporter one time who was all flustered about during the season of COVID, and he thought that our neighbors are Christians, brothers and sisters, which is, yeah, they could be, but didn't really see that it was those around us. And I actually love this portion here at the very end of this passage in Luke 10, 25 to 37. And the expert says, the expert of the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. The one who had mercy on that Samaritan that got robbed and beat up. That was the neighbor. And Jesus replied, that's correct. That's correct. So it really makes a broad aspect of who that is. Who are you going to have mercy on? Who are you going to have mercy on is your neighbor, which is very, very important. So here we are in Canada, and we're listening to a neighbor south of us, right? The neighbor is south of us is saying certain things, and that are causing a lot of things to be kind of blustery. Like even last weekend at a hockey game in Montreal, there were those booing our neighbor's national anthem. And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing to do. I don't think it's very nice to do. Because you just can't paint broad pictures. It's important to realize, and I want to say this, that the offense is the easiest ship to board. We can climb on that ship with no problems whatsoever. And we can be coming to that place of offense and get into that offense and then live in that offense. And that's not the place that we're supposed to be. We're supposed to carry things lightly. We're supposed to forgive quickly. And we're supposed to just move on. Don't live in offense. So many Christians are bound because they live in offense because this pastor did this, or this person did this, or this family member did this. There are ways and means that we can make things right, and it's important that we have clean slates before the Lord. And so if you have offense and you're carrying offense, I would suggest you get rid of it, because that's really difficult. Who can ascend the hill of the Lord? Those with clean hands and a pure heart. That's important. That's our posture. So I just want to say that about offense. So here we are, many of us I'm not talking about you guys. It's those other guys that are all afluster and upset with Trump. Maybe you're not. Me, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm thankful for Donald Trump. I'm thankful in the same way that I'm thankful for Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau provoked us to prayer. Donald Trump is provoking us as a nation, and I really believe he's provoking our leaders in our nation to move out of teenageness and be grown-ups, and to take care of our stuff, to take care of the issues that are in our countries. You know, I had when I was a young man, my grandfather used to live up in northern Ontario, in a place called the Little Clay Belt, and if you know where that is, you get a gold star. And so he had a farm up there, and he did mixed farming, and he had a lot of crops that he rotated. And he had a neighbor next door that did dairy. Was a dairy farmer. And you know, one day those cows, they were eyeing my grandfather's crops, and they just liked the smell of those crops. And so the cows leaned on the fence and broke the fence and got into my grandfather's grain and started munching away, and because they really enjoyed it. You know, there's this saying that fences make good for good neighbors, and so there was an issue, and they had to fix the fence, and they had to do these things, but they had to make things right. So when you have a neighbor that says, "Hey, your fence is broken," we probably need to pay attention. So I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get the semantics, you know. But there are things that we are being provoked as a nation that we need to grow up into, and I really appreciate that part of Donald Trump saying, yes, you need to take care of the North. Yes, it's hard to believe now. Everybody's saying that. Ooh, it might have been a good idea to have pipelines going east and west. And yeah, maybe we should have more markets. And yes, we should maybe not put all our eggs in one basket. Maybe this is a good thing for Canada. But I want to encourage you, don't stay in offense. Don't fall into that trap of being offended, and be in the place of being a good neighbor. And that is where Jesus says this is those that are showing mercy. Have this heart of mercy. Matthew 24 talks about this. It talks about how you can tell that you're in the end times. And it comes out of Matthew 24:12. And basically it says, when the hearts of many grow, their love grows cold. We don't want to be in that place of our hearts growing cold from love, because this is what love does. And you know the love chapter in Corinthians, and one of my favorite portions on Corinthians is this: love hopes all things. Stay in the place of hope, because it's foundational for love, and they are sort of they just oppose. You know, love and hope go together, and it's important that we stay in those places of love and hope. Don't move into the place of offense. Get out of offense. Keep your hands clean, and do this: rejoice evermore, in everything give thanks, and pray without ceasing. Anyway, that's what I want to share with you today. Don't be in offense. Stay out of offense. Yes, do what is right. Yeah, sometimes we've got to stand up to what we have to stand up to. That's good. But don't harbor and let offense grow in your heart. That is key, because clean hands, pure heart, ascending. Anyway, I'm Chris Byberg, the director of the National House of Prayer. And remember, every day is the National Day of Prayer. Bye for now.